Hello everyone. In this episode, we'll look one of the LLM applications, namely LLM-based sentiment analysis of financial text um, in earnings call. Okay, so here, let's go at the code. So here, there are a number of places where you can do sentiment analysis on financial text. We'll basically use one of the Kaggle's financial phrase bank here. Um, And so, for example, earning calls are most of the important information in event and financial markets like this. And the tone and language during these calls carries information beyond the numbers. People kind of care about these things to parse more information from that. Um, let's see, just to show you the data. Where's the data? So the data is here, and how it looks like is, I downloaded a file and put it on my Google Drive. Let me share that. Okay. So it looks like this. So a neutral is like this text, Technopolis plans to develop blah, blah, blah. The negative is the International Electric Industry Committee has laid off tens of thousands of employees, blah, blah, blah. And the positive one is that with the new production plant, the company would increase its capacity, something, something, something. So you can see that what is a good sentiment, positive, and what's a negative sentiment, isn't it? Okay. All right. Let's go back to the code. Um, So there are different sources, but we'll use this one from Kaggle. So first, install OpenAI because we'll use LLM and the data is in Google Drive. So I'm mounting my Google Drives and get the OpenAI API key and all this. We'll use GPT-4 Mini um, and load a financial phrase bank database here. And you can see it's loaded and visualize the label distribution. You can see that they're mostly neutral, but they're positive and some negative here. Okay, and sample a subset of API calls here just to see how it works out. Um, okay, so and we'll see three different types. The zero-shot sentiment classification is that just tell them without example, just classify the sentiment, read it, and then classify, and we can do it and see how it works out. And then run such the zero-shot classification on all sample sentences. So that takes a while, so I pre-run it. The accuracy is about 85%. There are also different ways, of course, do the classification, giving few examples. So here are some examples. In the prompt, you give basically example, what looks like a positive or negative or neutral, and then ask it to run the classification. And it's 88%, a bit few example, it's kind of improving. There is already also a chain of thought sentiment classification. Um, so you can make it to think a little bit more. You're a financial analyst and do this and follow this. Uh, and, a- and, 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 and basically ask it to reason. And the reasoning is the whether to to think about its own answer and then do the reasoning, isn't it? So here, actually, it's a bit surprising, and maybe it's the lack of the training. You need to train a little bit more, but it was slightly below the other one. So comparing all three approaches, the zero shot and few shot and chain of thoughts are here. And you can see that the few shot better than um, does better than in general than the um, zero shot classification. Okay, and the confusion matrix looks like this, but they all tend to perform reasonably well. The diagonal, which is supposed to be correctly predicting, is rather accurate. Um, and also, you can see here. Um, so the sentiment analysis of the earnings call transcripts. So this is pulling from a different data, um, a Carol data, and we have that here. Okay. So the sample earnings call excerpts here are here. All right. And then analyze the earnings call sentiment with the LLM. So here we're basically showing you what kind of things you can do. Now you can use the LLM to analyze the excerpts from earnings calls. Um, okay, this is a structured output is more useful for financial analysis to understand just whether the tone is positive or negative, but why and why about that. So you can have the prompt more detailed to give a score of the sentiment score and do this. Okay, so here are some of the analyzing the earnings call spot and visualize the earnings call sentiment patterns. So you can see here um, for some of them how the average sentiment of the company looks like. Um, and extract key themes and tone, so you can even do these kind of things to extract. Um, um, and in a large scale, of course, you can batch the whole thing and do this. Yeah. So that takes a while, so I just did it for you. All right. Okay, so this was just going to give an example of how the LLM is used in classification of the sentiments. Thank you for watching this episode.